Good evening and welcome to this Friday night edition of Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth. Of prime interest tonight, Hillary in the headlines. The State Department releases yet another batch of Mrs. Clinton's emails, 1,300 of them from the year 2009. The candidate hoped to change the conversation in Miami, calling for the end of the Cuban embargo in front of an emotional crowd. But it turns out voters' emotions are changing about Secretary Clinton, and not for the better. Her favorability ratings plummet to just 40% in the new Quinnipiac poll. As Dick Morris noted earlier this week, 40% favorability is in the danger zone for Hillary.
Will they stand by Hillary in the same way, or will she do what a normal politician does, like Bush did when he went crashing down to 27% job approval toward the end of his term? That will tell you how the election is going to come out. If the 40% hangs in there for Hillary, just like they did for Obama, she's going to win this election. If the 40% flakes on her and does not have that solidarity like they did for Obama, she is not going to win this election. And we'll know the answer to that in about 5 weeks.
For more on this story, we're pleased to be joined by political commentator Michael Reagan, who joins us via Skype from California. And a reminder, you can find and follow Michael on Twitter at Reagan World. Michael, again, thank you for your time here on Newsmax Prime.
No problem.
So, Mike, sources say the emails released contained classified information from as many as 5 different intelligence agencies. Some of these things released heavily redacted. In terms of legal issues, it sounds as if Hillary Clinton may be in what we used to call legal jeopardy.
Yeah, she's lucky she's not Sandy Berger, who paid a $50,000 fine, 100 hours of community service, $6,905 to pay for his community service, if you will. It's interesting, the double standard that we have in the United States of America concerning the Clintons. But to go back to what Dick Morris was just saying to you, I'm going to go on record right now and tell you, I hope Hillary gets the nomination, because I think any one of our possible candidates out there can beat Hillary Clinton in November of 2016. I hope these emails eat her alive, but she stays at the top of the heap for the Democrats, because I think even you, JD, could beat Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's an interesting way to put it, Michael. Even I could beat her. I think that's a backhanded compliment. But seriously now, her situation, the Democrats aren't going to stand by and let her dominate things if this problem continues for her, or will they?
Yes, they will, because of Bill Clinton and because the power that is wielded by the Clintons in the Democrat Party. It's very obvious, we've seen over the years, that nothing really sticks to Bill, but everything sticks to Hillary Clinton. The one thing that Bill has that Hillary Clinton has never had is likability. She is not likable, and she certainly isn't relatable. Bill Clinton would get elected today again if he were the nominee of the Democrat Party and we had nobody to run against him. But Hillary doesn't have that likability quotient that her husband has, that she's hoping that just simply being a woman and selling that will bring the women to her table. But I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, with the planned release of emails earlier today, Mrs. Clinton was in Miami talking about the Cuban embargo. Let's listen to what she had to say, then we'll get your reaction.
Even many Republicans on Capitol Hill are starting to recognize the urgency of moving forward. It's time for their leaders to either get on board or get out of the way. The Cuba embargo needs to go once and for all.
So she heads to Miami, what, to change the subject from the emails being released in Washington?
God, you gotta love her, don't you? I mean, go to Miami, the home of Cuba, and just sit there and say, let's just get rid of the embargo. I'm telling you, I love this woman. I think she's great on the campaign trail. Emails. Let's get rid of the Cuban embargo and blame the Republicans for not getting rid of the Cuban embargo, like it's the Republicans' fault. It wasn't put there by a Republican administration, and we've had Democrats in power. They could have gotten rid of it at any time. So this is the new Hillary Clinton. Let's go to Florida and get rid of, in fact, the Cuban embargo. Hey, why don't we go to New York and get rid of, the mayor?
Well, it's interesting to watch all the maneuvering and the posturing. And in 6 nights, there will be the Republican debate, the first one of the campaign. It will occur in Cleveland. As we were talking about this, a whole lot of memories came rushing back, including one famous debate from New Hampshire, I believe sponsored by the Nashua Telegraph back in 1980. Let's look and listen to that and then get your reflections back on this turning point in the 1980 campaign.
Would the sound man please turn Mr. Reagan's mic off for a moment? Mr. Reagan, would you turn that microphone off, please? I am paying for this microphone.
I am paying for this microphone. That comment and your father's temperament at that time really helped him out, as it turned out, in New Hampshire.
Yeah, don't do that to Trump in the first debate, or you're going to get the same reaction, if you will. It's interesting that night, JD, my sister Maureen and I, God rest her soul, passed away in 2001 from melanoma. But my sister and I looked at each other that night, and we looked and said, it's about damn time he lost his temper. I mean, that was our reaction, because we never seen our dad ever lose his temper, ever raise his voice at all to the children, to anybody. And then all of a sudden he comes up with that one, and we said, bravo, Dad, it's about time. You deserve to be able to in fact, do that. So it was a turning point in the campaign for my father, had to win the New Hampshire primary, in fact, to move forward.
Well, let's talk about the approach your dad took to debates. We've got about a minute and a half left here. I'm just kind of curious, how did he get ready, and was there a set procedure he would follow?
Well, how he got ready like everybody else gets ready, just up to date on what you think the questions are going to be and having answers and know where you're going to go with those. In the first debate with Mondale, in '84, he was over-prepared. I mean, he was so over-prepared, you're trying to think about what you were talking about, what you were studying, and in the second debate, of course, he just was Ronald Reagan. I think the best thing that these candidates do is be themselves. America wants to see who they are and what they represent and where they want to take America. I think America's done our candidates what they believe and what they don't believe. The consultants get rich from these campaigns, and meanwhile, they give us losers. I want to see, and I think America wants to see, that campaign that says, you know something, this is where I want to take America. I am passionate about it. These are my issues. This is what I want to do. And I think that's why America right now has surrounded Trump in this case, because he's off the cuff and he speaks from his own passion. Let's see passion in some of the other candidates.
We know it's going to be very interesting to watch, and one thing we don't have to debate on, we don't have to speculate about, everybody on that stage next week will be invoking the name of Ronald Reagan. That's why we thank you, Michael Reagan, for being here on Newsmax Prime. A reminder, you can find and follow Michael on Twitter @ReaganWorld. Still to come, Planned Parenthood and same-sex marriage. 2 hot-button topics I discuss with Mike Huckabee in Part 5 of our exclusive one-on-one interview. Then later, the killing of Cecil the Lion remains in the news. We'll have a lively discussion here. But first, Donald Trump discusses his strategy for next week's Republican debate. That's next, when Newsmax Prime continues.